Hello, ladies. I am sorry for all the uh, rescheduling and rescheduling, but yeah, it was not a very nice end of the week that I had weekend actually. So I wanted to have this rescheduled for during this week, not for Sunday, because um, Sunday I want to start doing something with Easter eggs, Easter something. Hi Ramona, hi J9, hi Beth. So I know that there are quite a bit of lilac flower tutorials, both in polymer clay and in air dry clay. Now, what I want to tell you, hi Sonia, and one more thing, please excuse my fingernails, but I really didn't, not only I didn't have time to get them in shape, but I'm going to do some more scrubbing and rubbing, and I was like, not gonna waste half an hour to do my fingernails and they're gonna be ruined in the next hour after the live. The ladies will understand. Hi Colleen, hi Anna. So, what I wanted to tell you when it comes, because again, I did watch quite a bit, not necessarily today or yesterday, but in time, of polymer clay and air dry clay tutorials on how to make lilac flowers. Hi, Kara. And one thing that I noticed is that pretty much all that I've watched, they did have the middle with yellow. And I remember that the first time that I watched a polymer clay tutorial on how to make lilac flowers, I was like, why yellow? I've never seen a lilac flower with yellow. Hi, Silver. And then I went actually and I did a Google search, and let's look a little bit. As you can see, the lilac flowers do not have, or they have a very, very tiny yellow stuff, but most of them, and at least the ones that I've grown, the color of the inside the stamens was lilac, and sometimes a little bit even darker than the lilac color of the flowers. So it's entirely up to you, but I wouldn't go. These ones are yellow, but anyway, they are much smaller than what is shown in most of the tutorials. So how can you, I'm going to try and find a solution for you to make them even more realistic. Now, when it comes to, hi Karen, hi Madnuts, hi Linda. Yeah, I know, I was thinking at least it won't be during my live, but we might get some interruption to internet and stuff like that. So what I'm going to work with is Premo, but hi Glynis, your best clay to make lilac flowers, and generally, remember I said that the best clays to make flowers are Cernit and Pardo. And just to show you, and of course I'm going to PolyClay Play, and remember to use my affiliate link so I can have that giveaway, because we're gonna have a giveaway $100 gift certificate for Easter. But as you can see in Cernit, there's actually opaline lilac. Whenever you make flowers with Cernit, always choose the opaline, because the opaline has a very, very slight translucency, and that makes it even more realistic. If you want to go with Pardo, you'll have to make a little bit of a mix, and you can get a pinch of the translucent, that is the transparent translucent, the agate, and you can use either anglicite for a little bit more blue, or the amethyst. The lavender jade is a little bit too dark. Did I pass it? You can use the sapphire as well, but the amethyst, I think I passed it. The amethyst would be your color of choice. Yeah, amethyst. There you go. The amethyst is almost like a lavender. I honestly would have named the lavender jade amethyst and this color lavender jade. But anyway, to get back to what I'm doing here, how I made these colors, it would be about, again, remember that if you get the square cutter, you divide it in four. I mean, the square cutter being a part, but even with the square cutter, dividing it in four, like this color is, God, I forgot the color. I think it's, goodness gracious me, Premo. I'm horrible in this. I hope she has it. Not glitter. I think it's periwinkle. She doesn't have it. No, periwinkle is blue. Wisteria. Wisteria. Let me check. I didn't need you. Yeah, it is Wisteria. So 2 parts of Wisteria. So if you go in quarters of that cutter, 2 parts of Wisteria, 1 part translucent, 1 part white. And on this one, it's pretty much 1 part turquoise, 2 parts white, 1 part translucent. But Wisteria is a little bit too dark to work with it by itself. But there is Lilac that is a darker color. What I have in my yard is just the plain normal lilac thing. So I'm going to first work on making some flowers, and then I will show you how to put them together. And there's 2 ways you can make the flowers, and I forgot to grab my cutters. Goodness gracious me. Is it this one? That's a good one. I don't find my cutters, so that's not going to be. Anyway, we're gonna do just how to make them from scratch. So the way that you start, grab my eyes. The way that you start, your best bet to make everything, all the flowers, kind of even. First make a sausage, because you kind of need to for it to be pretty even all over. And then you can measure or you can eyeball. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to pretty much eyeball. And that way all your flowers will be the same size. And then the easiest way to work it, first you make a bead. And careful and look so that there would be no folding lines left. Okay, then remember I was telling you that, and let me demonstrate it one more time with this bigger one. To make a bead, a round bead, you only use the middle of your palm. Don't go thank you, Pamela. Don't go on the other sides of your, don't go like this. Work only with the middle of your palm if you want your bead to be perfectly round. And now if you want to make it oval, and see this is a fold line, you have to go like this until there is no fold line. You can actually press your hands together a little bit. And if you want to make it oval, you also place the bead in the middle of your palm, but then you start doing very gently, not to get over the joints here. So you only go like this. Now if you want to teardrop it, so again I'm starting with the round one, you let it drop between your palms, and then very gently you press your palms together, and then you teardrop it. Now that is valid for small beads, only that obviously if I'm letting it drop between my palms, it's going to get all squished. So I'm going to press with my finger at the end here, and see, I very nicely teardropped it and even wedged it a little bit. Now the next thing is you can do, you can start with, and this would be your best practice, start by making a few buds. Now the lilac flowers are 4-petaled, because I don't know how it is in other countries, but I know that in Romania we were playing with find the 5-petaled lilac flower, kind of like the same with the 4-leafed clover. So this makes things very easy, because what you do, you make one cut like this, and then you make one cut like this. The rest you can still keep working with your X-Acto knife, but as I said, I personally, for anything that involves this kind of sculpting, I prefer, and remember you can find this in sculpting tools in my Amazon influencer store, and it's like $10 for a dozen of them that have different ends, and they are pretty much all of these ends are good for something, but this is my most favorite one. And to be very honest, I got a metal file and I sharpened it a little bit. So you just go a little bit deeper with these cuts. And then you can lift a little bit. Let me actually do a zoom, a refocus and a zoom, so you can see better what I'm doing. There we go. So once again, round, then place your finger at the end of the bead and wedge it up. Then hold up on to this wedge and one cut this way, one cut crosswise. And then, as I said, you can continue with the X-Acto knife. I just still didn't change the blade on my X-Acto knife, so I'm going to use this. So continue the cut downwards towards the base of the bud, and you can actually lift a little bit if you want. The ends here, and a good helper is a toothpick. And just go in a little bit, and there we go. It's not very difficult to do. So this is how you start with the bud, the lilac bud. Then to start with the flower, again, start with the bead. Make sure there are no folding lines. And I did have folding lines. Then wedge it up. Then do the cuts again. Goodness gracious, Finnegan. Now with the warmth coming up, I'm gonna be able to close this door, because in winter I cannot close it because it gets too hot and this is messed up, and my clay can get half baked. And the way my house is, you can set the thermostat at 60, and if you close the door to the bedrooms, it's going to be like 76 in the bedrooms. So I cannot close my bedroom door because the cats go in and out. So if I set the thermostat at 72, it would get close to 90 in here, and my clay would be completely messed up. Okay, so again, you go a little bit down, not as much as for the bud. Okay, let me make sure that I am in the... And then grab first a smallish... Hi, Diane. A smallish stylus pen, ball stylus pen, and gently start pushing these. It's been forever since I last did the lilac. Until you get a nice separation, pretty much. That's your ideal thing. And then you can turn to one size higher and just flatten these some more. Just to get the sizes properly. And next you go a little bit more on the edges, because you want the edges to be petal thin, obviously. And try not to get them folded. Use your toothpick to give it a little hole in the middle, and then don't the reason why you don't go so deep as for the bud with the lateral cuts is because if you're going to leave this only attached by a very tiny area, it might break. It can get, depending on what you're making with it, but it can get tangled in your hair, it can get tangled in your clothing. So what you want is to make a shorter cut than for the bud, but then you come and you can use this, you can use a needle and just make a line here, a little line in the clay, because only somebody who would get very, very close would see that these petals aren't actually fully separated. And then if you still want to make any kind of middle, of course you can choose a yellow or a lilac, or a simple, you can use the raw wisteria for this, only that you're going to need super tiny pieces. And the other thing is that I've seen a lot of tutorials with lilac flowers showing how to create first the middle and then on a wire, and then you know, put the wire through the flower so that the middle gets kind of like holding the flower. Hi Kumakonda. But the thing is that you need to be very careful of the size, because honestly most of the tutorials I've seen, the size of the flower is huge. I haven't seen that many lilac flowers of that size. So this would be it. This one did get a little bit. Now let me make a few more just to show you, and I will show you how to do the thing with the wire, but on a smaller scale, and I'm going to use like a 26 gauge wire. And I'm going to work this time a little bit faster, but I'm going to also show you how to attach these without wire, how to create something without wire. There are several ways you can do that, and I'm going to try and show you all. One of them, and I'm going to just explain how to do that. One of them is simply by using sewing thread, and of course you do a knot, and then using a needle you go with a sewing thread through the flower here, and then you press nicely the knot in the flower stem, and then you place the little stamens, and then you can the sewing thread is very conducive to be covered with polymer clay. You can kind of braid those sewing threads together and then cover them with polymer clay, or leave them like that, and if you can use green sewing thread, and there you are. And if you get it a little bit thicker, not a very fine sewing thread, not as thick as macrame, but still relatively thick. Okay, so wedging, cutting a little bit more cutting. Then gently separating. Wrong one, this one. So you use your finger as support. And then I usually go on my thumb for the next one. I use my index finger for the small one, and then my thumb for the larger ball stylus. So first you go just simply opening and enlarging the petals. The second one you focus on the edge of the petal, and again careful not to bend them and fold them. I have that habit. I'm like, oh, what did I do? Oh, by the way, I am super excited. I finally, somebody taught me, because I have this thing, there's, I don't know if you're familiar with, in the south and in the central and southern plains, there's a lot of older ladies who, I don't know how to say it otherwise, pronounce the H in words like white, where, stuff like that, when. And I've been trying to do that and it didn't sound right. So finally a neighbor taught me, because I was trying to pronounce the H after the W. I was like, no. You say the H first and then the W. So it's not height, it's white. So I'm so glad that I learned that. I don't know why I'm so glad, but I find it really funny. But now I know how to say white and where. Crazy, huh? Okay, so I'll give it a little bit more oomph in the middle. And one more. Now, why I prepared the blue is that it's this same kind of blue you can make lilacs with, but you can also make forget-me-nots. So if I don't get all in pain, I'm going to show you how to make some pretty forget-me-nots. Forget-me-nots are easier to put together, actually. So, as before, first I use my index as base against which to press. I don't know why I do that with different fingers. You don't have to do exactly how I do it if you're more comfortable with a different finger. But yeah, talking about I know I usually don't, you know that I don't mix politics in my lives, but on this one I felt that I need to say something about it. If you give me just a second to get where it's about an Ukrainian artist, crafter, who is going through some really hard stuff. Her house has been shelled. She's now at a friend in the in their basement. She has a child she has 2 children, a child that's special needs. But I just want to give you a link to her Etsy store, just in case you want to get one of her downloadable digital downloads or anything, just to help her, because that's a way where you can there we go. Let me know if hi Ilyanka, let me know if it works. If not, I'm going to use a bit.ly. And they are trying to figure out how to leave, but they are the closest for them is the Belarus border, and they are afraid that they might be in the next deported to Russia. So they are trying to figure out a way to leave. So if you can help her in any way. Okay. I'm not putting the middles in yet because I want to show you how to do this without the wire. And talking of this kind of stuff, it's not the same. I hope that if you are in Louisiana or Mississippi or Alabama, tornadoes will not, I forgot to do this, will not affect you. We were really lucky last evening. Apparently this storm system is moving much slower than they initially thought. In our area it was supposed to get over Oklahoma City between midnight and 2 o'clock a.m. Well, it got here at around 9:30, and by 11 it was gone. And in my area, at least, all we had was just rain, thunder, and lightning. We didn't even have hail. So in this we were lucky, but I know that since last night there hasn't been a minute for that storm not to have at least one tornado warning. And I mean with tornadoes on the ground, not, you know, rotation shown by the radar. So I'm hoping that there won't be that much loss. Last I looked, let me actually give it a gander so I can show you. Actually, I'm curious if it's still there. But every time I looked, there was a tornado warning. Yeah, now they are like 5. Oh, you're driving me nuts. I have a setting here that's driving me nuts. Okay, so see, they are like 5 now. And it's all over Mississippi now, going into Alabama soon. So yeah, it's not good. And since yesterday they said it was a moderate forecasted as moderate in the red, but We were only in the slide, but I'm still worried because Oklahoma in spring slide, we did have F4 and not F5 but F4 tornadoes when we were just in a slight chance. So slight still means 5% chance of tornado, so it's not that easy. You know, my memories of Ukraine, I've been there actually to the part that is kind of like to the north of the Moldova region, the Romanian Moldova region, because I don't know if you're aware, but the Moldova Republic was actually part of Romania, and it was given to the USSR at Yalta. And after the USSR dissolved, they decided to stay by themselves. But my father's part of the family was from that area, and to see a branch of the family, we went from Chișinău to Cernit, and we went there and we visited and all that. And then at one point, it was my father's great uncle, was my grandma's grandma's uncle. Yeah. And anyway, so at one point, the point that I wanted to make, at one point we went to a forest, kind of like picnicking stuff, and that was the most beautiful forest that I've ever seen in my entire life. And believe me, Romanian forests are gorgeous. Romanian forests generally, especially the ones more towards the mountains and the ones in Transylvania, they look like the forests that you see in movies, in elf movies. That's pretty much how they look like. So here I got some jungle with some wasabi. Hi Francis. But I've never seen a forest more beautiful than that one. It had, these clearings that were covered with wildflowers, and the highest number of butterflies and other flying insects, not mosquitoes, all kinds of flying insects that I've ever seen in my life on like an area at the same time. And that will be in my mind like forever. I don't know, since I was a child, I had this thing. Every time I saw something that was super beautiful, what I would do, I would focus very, very hard on it and tell myself, I need to commit this to memory because I need to be able to remember it later. And I did do that with that forest. It was just so gorgeous. I mean, it was like from a fairy tale. You would have expected to see little leprechauns running through the tall grass and flowers and little fairies and all that. And we stayed there until it was starting to get a little bit dark, And once it started to get a little bit dark, it got full of fireflies. So it was fabulous. And I'm thinking that those areas of Ukraine are just ruins right now. But anyway, so to get back to our flowers, something you can do, and I'm going to grab some scrap clay, doesn't matter the color. Something you can do is to create a base. And I'm going to create a base, and I'm going to ovalize it a little bit. Of course you can use a mold if you want. Let me refocus here. And yes, I do have some scratches on, but those are not Finnegan. I've been working in the garden some, so that's what all these are from. Okay, so, and I did my cabochon. I'm going to flatten it, and you can work directly on a mirror tile. Let's actually do that because it's easier to work on it. So it doesn't really matter the color you make this with, because you're going to cover it front and back. I mean, after you do the front, you can do the back, and you can do the same thing on a cylinder. Okay, but that requires a lot of changing views, and it would be a pain to. And I'm going to cover this with this green. With a lot of care not to trap air. And I want it to be, it's more flat than domed. So let's cut this out. And this you can make a pendant, you can make earrings. It's entirely up to you how you want to make this. And yeah, I'm prettifying it because this is not going to get sanded, so you obviously need to do a little bit of prettification. And what I'm going to do first is to set some leaves. Okay, so for this, I'm going to again make a little sausage. And make it even using, and you can use a the clay on a thin setting, and then use a round a small cutter. It's entirely up to you, but and these don't have to be exactly even because the leaves are not absolutely totally even. So again, bead, just trying to show you that it's not that hard to make and not that time consuming. Yeah, while I'm doing this, I still don't know what was the problem with my stomach. The doctor said that it was probably one of the stomach viruses that don't appear on tests, because practically they only, I think that the tests they have only can get the norovirus and the rotavirus. But you know, I mean, it worked. I just didn't spring back as I was hoping I would. But it was nasty. Initially he thought that I might have a liver issue because my stomach upset was only about throwing up. I didn't have stomach cramps, I didn't have other issues, only that. But they did blood work and my liver panel came back within normal limits, so that wasn't an issue. So you see how I got them all kind of teardropped. Next thing, I'm gonna need my glasses. Next thing will be to flatten them up, of course using a ball stylus. And try to place them on one of the lines in length, on one of the lines of your palm, because you will get a very nice veining on them. So do first one side and then do the other. And when you do the other, be focused on the edge of the tip. Again, big here, go a little bit up, flip it, and now careful, place it on the line in the palm of your hand, not head. Heads don't have a palm. Yeah, it will move. The worst thing about yesterday though was I haven't seen that barometer going so low since, I don't know, like 2013 when we had the tornado outbreak. That thing was like at 29.20 something. Usually it gets like 29.8, and my pain gets worse whenever it's below 30. But it was horrible. I know that one of them I didn't thin out properly. Hey, stay here. Okay, now this one is not thinned out. Now I'm going to place some of these, and be careful how I do it. So I'm going to take the part that's got the veins on it, so with the dome, the convexity upwards, and then I'm going to get the toothpick right in the middle. Don't fall. Right in the middle here, and then slightly pinch. Okay, so slightly pinch, and then place it. Let's do that with another one. So at the base of the, so not the part that is thinned out. So press, fold a bit, place, stay there. Again, Figure out which is the thin part and you go on the thick part. I know, right? It's horrible. You can't tell how the weather is, if the rain is coming or the storm is coming. Or my poor Betsy, I used to have a Yorkie poo, and when she got older she got mitral valve prolapse and she was getting seizures because her brain wouldn't get enough oxygen. So I'm not going to fill this up, but you might want to put a few more until the whole thing is filled up. And we knew with her, when we were going to get just a bad storm or a tornadic storm, if a storm was coming, she would be pacing. But if a tornadic storm was coming, she wanted to be held. You had to get her in your arms and hold her. Okay, so remember I told you that there's a reason why I didn't put the middles here, because I'm going to have to put the toothpick through to get them connected there. And I didn't want to make a bazillion of them, not to keep you waiting, but this is the way that you do them. This one already has some in the middle, but I'm just going to go over them. And let's place the little bud here too. There we go. And now I can go ahead and do some of those tiny itty bitty. Now for the itty bitty ones, do not use a very well conditioned clay, because if you use a very well conditioned clay, it's going to be kind of sticky and kind of hard to handle itty bitties. You want one that has been in your, wherever you keep it, if you keep it in one of those sheet protectors, or in these, you know how I keep mine, in these cellophane things. You want one that has been in there and hasn't been conditioned before working with it, because those would be the only ones that are soft enough to work with them, but they are not sticky, so you can go ahead and use them without having a hard time trying to get them off your whatever you're using or your fingers. And there we go, we have them all nice and tiny. Of course, you make them as tiny as you can. It's not a disaster if you cannot make them super tiny, but it is desirable. And this is wasabi, it's not yellow. This one needs one more. And two more. So there we go. You have some nice lilac flowers with lilac leaves, and you can do whatever you want with them. Now let me try and show you real quick the forget-me-nots. Again, I'm going to start with a little, this out of the way here, with a little sausage. Only this time I'm going to cut slices. Okay, so they are all pretty much the same diameter. Of course you can make beads and flatten them, but it takes more time. And again, this is not super realism, it's enough realism. I don't know how to say it otherwise. So I'm going to make 2. Forget-me-nots have 5 petals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 more. And I'm going to place them on the same thing there just to show you how to place them. 1 more. Now real quick, petal. And see, even when they are not perfectly round like this, you can make them round just by the way you're moving your ball stylus. Or at least round enough. That they would not pose a problem. Forget-me-nots are depending on the variety. The wild ones are not bigger than lilac flowers. The garden ones are bigger. And remember that if you want to know how to make other spring flowers, and I showed last time, the link to another live that was before. Okay, so here I'm getting somewhere. Another live that was before, where I showed how to make wild hyacinth, grape hyacinth, and daffodils. Okay, so let me see. You want this to be about half the diameter of these petals. Yeah, what else? I think, I'm not sure if I showed snowdrops, but I know I showed violets, daffodils, and lily of the valley. Okay, so what's going to happen with these, pay attention how these go, because they are a little bit more delicate than the other ones. So first you flatten, and then you take the smaller ball stylus, oops, not you, the smaller ball stylus, and you kind of star it out like this, and gently remove it from your skin. Can you do this on something else? Yes, if you get one of those mats for working with sugarcraft, to make sugarcraft flowers, you can use that. I don't have one handy. I do have one, but not right here with me. Okay, so let me stick it back to my skin. There's a reason why you need this. I'll put it separately. And then the next thing that you need is some yellow. That you make a pretty much a string out of. And I did dirty it. And you need a pretty much a thin string. Okay, now let's get ready to put it together. Maybe I should get something else just to show you how to put it together. Let's grab some green. You can use the same kind of leaves for that. Make it ovalish. But how to put the forget-me-not together. And you will also need 2 dots of black. And I said dots. They're pretty much dots. About half the size of the petals. So I'm just making them into little balls. Okay. Now I'm going to start placing the petals, and they kind of go like a plumeria, as in each petal goes over the previous one slightly. So you have to be careful when you place the last one, because it's going to have to go a little bit under the first one. So this is what you get. Then your next thing is the white one. Grab the black, flatten it out, hey, come on, doesn't want to move. Place it on here. You can go ahead and use the smallest thing to kind of rehash the white thing here. And then you make a little circle with the yellow. Move these so I can bring this under. So this has to be kind of like on the edge, of the black. Yeah, it's too short. And the last thing you want to do on this is, so this is kind of very fast done. I'll make a later a tutorial on this. You want to go and spaz this out into little stamens. Made the yellow too thick. Let's try again with a smaller yellow. One, two, hey. I'm starting to hurt. Hi, Adelaide. Yeah, no, I'm going to have to do this separately, but this is the idea. This is the way that let me try to show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to have to do a separate tutorial on these. I made the middle way too big because they are tiny. And my hands stopped working properly. Pretty much this is the deal. I made the middle way too big. And this is how they go. But as I said, I'm gonna have to do this separately when I'm not starting to hurt, because right now I've been on for more than an hour. Hi, Cheryl. So, prepare for Sunday. We are going to do cane elements for Easter eggs. And they are going to be very simple canes with just a few colors. I'm going to check the when I'm going to post, check the video description, because I'm going to post the colors used. It's going to definitely be black and white, and then this kind, pretty much this kind of pastels. They will all involve like one part of the color with I mean, depending on how light the color is, it's gonna be one part translucent, and depending on if it's a darker color, it's going to be 2 parts white, 1 part the color. If it's a lighter color like the Wisteria, it's going to be 2 parts the color, 1 part white and 1 part translucent. But we are going to make some very simple canes for covering an Easter egg, and I hope to be able to. The storms are not here anymore, Ramona. They are in Mississippi right now. And I'll try to have, again, like I did before, prepare some of the stuff to be in the first stage, in the second stage, and in the third stage, so I can go through them, you know, when they are one stage baked, 2 stages baked, and we'll go like that to be able to work faster and not have to go into another Sunday. And then the next, so it's going to be, come on, it's going to be April 3rd, the canes, and then April 10th covering the eggs with the canes. So for the April 10th I'm going to do that, but I'm going to try and show on the 3rd how to use the plastic eggs to, you know, to cover the, you know, those little plastic eggs that you hide stuff in for Easter. I'm going to show how to cover those. I am actually feeling much better. I'm eating normally and I didn't have any dizziness today. It's just the pain because it's still cold here. It's still cold. The high for today is like 55. Right now it's 53 and the barometer is 29.6, so it's not very easy on my scars and joints. So thank you so much. Don't forget that Friday, and it is at hold on, what time did I schedule it for? Friday is going to be part 2 of that huge D-stash. It's 5:30. It's for Friday 5:30, and I said, I know, no, the plastic eggs don't melt. I said it is on April 1st, but it's not an April Fool's Day joke. But I just had to reschedule it because with the way that I felt and I didn't know when I was going to feel good again, I thought Friday is safe to schedule it. And remember, it's going to be more than was the first one. It's going to be quite a bit of canes as well. So if you don't have the plastic eggs, if you look in my influencer store, give me just a second, I will show you before I leave. I will show you where they are. Okay, let's go with the display capture. So you look for coverables, and I'm sorry, I cannot. I would love to be able to arrange these segments in some kind of order, but unfortunately Amazon moves at the top of the list whichever list I worked on the most recently. I added stuff or deleted stuff, or so we are looking for coverables, and it's this. And in the coverables you see that I even have roach clips. You have brooches, pins, barrettes, combs, brooches again, all kinds of trays, light switches, tins. This one, these little skeleton leaves are, if you remember, I did at one point a tutorial where I showed how to cover skeleton leaves with resin, and then all kinds of knobs. And at the very end here are the plastic Easter eggs. I can tell you that I bought one of these. They are 50 for $10. I bought one of these like 3 years ago. I still have like half of them, so it's not that that expensive. But there is a trick to how to bake them, because remember, they open, and if you don't get them properly fixed, and because they are plastic and they are hollow, you can get the whole thing cracking if you don't put them safely together before baking, before covering them with clay. So I will show you that this Sunday. Okay, so don't forget, if you are new, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click that little bell to be notified if I ever come online or for my next live, and I will see you Friday at 4:30. I said 4:30, right? No, 5. Okay, this is ridiculous. I forgot from 10 minutes ago. It's at 5:30 Central. So 5 Central Daylight Savings Time. Okay, and I will see you then. And then April 2nd in the morning we have the monthly chat. So we're gonna have a lot of talking together this week. So see you Friday afternoon, and then see you Saturday morning. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Stay safe, and stay healthy, please. Bye.